Hi, I am KTM on two wheels, and today is the day for finally the castle vlog. Yeah, so I am making a huge fool of myself with the GoPro strapped to my head and the microphone hanging from my lapel. So yeah, you will be seeing people looking at me, but this is the Moorish castle. That's the entrance. Yeah, that's a really huge ass wall with a tiny entrance. If you can see, you can just go 2 by 2 into the entrance and you can ride a horse in if you duck. So this is a proper fortress. The rest of this place, this path here, it's an old path, and there used to be a small Moorish town here, and then it was destroyed when we conquered it and turned into a graveyard and whatever, and there's more little embattlements on the way up from this path to prevent defenders from coming up. This is the main wall over the main entrance over here. Let's see. This is obviously new. This was built, these wooden structures was built over older structures which we do no longer know the function, but from the size and the looks of it we suppose there were animal pens, stables, stuff like that. There's also a cistern here. That's the cistern. This is closed, unfortunately. I've been touring this previously, so I can actually do this properly. Didn't go here, actually. But yeah, the wall keeps on going this way. As you can see, this is 1,000 years old, and it has been destroyed, rebuilt, amplified, then broken, then rebuilt again. So this whole section is gone. This is still original. This has nearly the top of this is 20th century, these rocks here, so there's cement or equivalent here. The bottom, nope. So that grate is for the water cistern, which is underneath. It actually has a legend around it because it has never dried. There's always water there, and they say there's a Moorish king buried under it. That's just a legend. But this part facing the forest is the unimportant part. The cool part is up ahead, and from here you can see I am right over the entrance, so you can see if anyone tries to invade this, the defenders, which are here lobbing arrows and whatever down, they can just turn around and start shooting straight down to kill the invaders, which then have this relatively big plaza to be killed in. That's a secondary wall there. Animal pens here on the left, so this would be an ample zone, which would be actually quite a killing field. You can stand defenders there, you can stand defenders there and here. This castle was built 1,000 years ago by the Moors, and then when the Portuguese conquered it, took over it, rebuilt it, amplified it. I think we built that part, I'm not sure. We amplified some of it and then kept on using it for defense for a long time. The wall stops here because this is basically impossible to pass. So I'm just going to cut and I'm going to show you what we call the Menage Tower, which is the tallest tower of the castle, where usually the last line of defense is. If you're into Game of Thrones, think of it as the Red Keep itself. Oh wait, I don't have to cut because I'm already here. It's this, as you can see, there's a secondary wall inside, which is not quite accessible, and you have to zigzag so you can be efficiently murdered on the way up. And then the small gate. Really tiny gate. And then you have this section, which is the living quarters for the high officials, king, and whatever. Not sure what this is, maybe a well. Not quite what you expected, right? This is living quarters for someone important. It's this big, like. There are prison cells bigger than this. Let's see. Okay, just in case you can't read this, I'll read it for you. Encompassing the keep tower, this small redoubt housed the local authorities. Standing on one of the highest hills, it is visible from the surrounding plains in the Atlantic and is the strategic center of the fortification. This is where I am. The King of Norway, Sigurd I, caught sight of the keep from the sea and visited the castle in 1108 and 1109. This area underwent profound remodeling interventions which destroyed most structures from the Muslim period. So yeah, this is the inside of the keep. It's not quite like you're expecting it from Game of Thrones, right? This used to be a big tower. I know there's supposed to be structures under here and under that all the way down, but the first recon I didn't see it. That's the outside. No, I'm going to go through the inside. So if you're thinking big rooms and castles, nope. That's odd. Could this be the latrines with those little gates there? If you're thinking big castles with big rooms, nope, this is a military fortification. It's for defense, not for luxury. So you have tiny little roads. It would probably be awkward walking around there at night because you'd have all the archers looking down on you, ready to murder you if they thought you weren't nice. But just look at this site. Check this out. This is about my width. There's no way for two people to cross here without one of them going over here or out of the wall. The wall here isn't as tall as you might think because this is a cliffside. And look at the site. You can see the Atlantic, and you can see this from the sea. And you can understand why put a military fortification here. Look at how far I can see. That's Mafra over there. I can see the convent, which is somewhat 30 kilometers away. And on a clear day, you can see some islands offshore Peniche, which are, I don't know, 100 kilometers away. I've probably put a map here to show you the distance, but the view here is incredible. This is the topmost of the hill, or almost, because there is an even taller tower, which is there. Look at this. Obviously the wooden ceiling has collapsed, and I've read this was supposed to go down, but maybe it's been closed. Maybe it's after remodeling that destroyed the Muslim structures. Look, a watchman with a little wooden seat here could just be standing here and be protected from fire from below, but still see over the army trying to invade, still see how many they were, how many reinforcements they were getting. And in an age where an army would take about a week to cross this distance, this would be very useful. Hey. Yeah, you are going to see everyone looking at me because I do look like a dick. Look at my shadow there. And I've got wires everywhere because of the sound, which I really hope is working correctly. So the northern edge of the castle, look at this. That's the palace of Pena, which is Feather, the Feather Palace. And there are other palaces, farms. That's yet another little castle slash palace. That's Lisbon. I can see the bridge. I can see the Christ the Redeemer statue just off in the distance. I've taken pictures, so I'm probably shooting the pictures right now of this whole section. Lisbon, north part of Lisbon, Lourdes with the windmills, electrical windmills, and you can just see for miles and miles and miles. So let's just go back, and wow, this is tall. It's really uncanny thinking that I'm on the top of a hill, on a wall which is nearly vertical, which was built 1,000 years ago, and these are the original walls from 1,000 years ago. They've been repaired over the ages, obviously, or else they would have crumbled into dust. That's why every now and then you can see some cement from the 20th century like this, and other materials, but generally this is the original wall yet. No ceiling, because it was supposed to be a wooden ceiling and probably would have some sort of ladder up there. And let's See? These are northern walls where you wouldn't normally invade because, well, how the hell would you make an army climb this? Although the walls are here because a very determined enemy could send a small squad of men climbing up this thing, which would normally not have any vegetation, nor would the castle, obviously, for clear lines of sight arrow-wise down there. But since there's that problem, tall walls, so they wouldn't be climbable, defenders, so this must have been hard to actually conquer. I'm not going to show you that tower over there. I've got the pictures of that. What the hell's happening to my phone? It's going nuts. Just let them be. So we are still climbing down. I hope you can see those steps because they're really steep. Oh, I'll show you from there the flags, because they've done a really cool thing with the flags, which are several flags. That's Sintra in Arabic, I think, which is an imagined version of what the flag might look like, the original flag from the Moors. And then there's, let me just grab onto that, one of our older flags, and the newer one, then the Portuguese one last. Sorry. Just let's let these people take their picture from there. Okay. Oops. So here's the entrance. That's the entrance. It's not really that big. It's what, 400 meters across? At 100, 200? It's really not that big. This plaza here is what we call the field of arms, meaning that's the idea of this is to get the soldiers here so you can talk to them, coordinate defense, etc. There's actually a gate under us. It should be right about here. Let me see if I can show you without tumbling head over heels. Nope, I'll show you afterwards. But there's a gate under here which leads off to this. So there's probably an old road coming up from here, a rear gate. That's why there's this embattlement here to defend the rear gate. And as you can see, people are still staring because I do look like an idiot. Oh well, just another episode. I'll show you the gate and this thing, which has a very funny story. It's getting a bit long-winded, but it will be worth it. So that's the field of arms. This is also where they would train. So you can see this whole big field. That part is the last redoubt for defense, and from there you can see you can shoot arrows straight down here. So if you'd get invaded, there would be loads of soldiers here, all clustered together, so you can just randomly shoot arrows from there and hit someone down here. That's the gate, which is closed, and there's no road back, but there is also a little other thing, which is this. This is called the Betrayer's Gate, because this is a tiny gate. I don't know if you can see it. I'm just going to do something I shouldn't be doing. See? This little gate leads outside. That's why it's called the Betrayer's Gate. Sorry, that's the microphone I'm carrying. This little gate, so that if there are invaders at the gate, you can exit here discreetly and attack them from behind. Again, calling on Game of Thrones, Tyrion Lannister doing a sortie and attacking the attackers of the keep from behind. That's the architecture that allowed this, and this is relatively standard. And if you can see, look how it's built into the wall discreetly behind the bush. That's probably been planted there, but they would let the vegetation grow so they could exit discreetly and attack people from the side. And it's so tiny you can't quite attack through that. They call it the Betrayer's Gate because if you are going to betray the castle, that's where the invaders would come in discreetly. That gate is supposedly over that fortification, so there should be murder holes, which are holes on the ground so you can pour burning oil, arrows, rocks, whatever, onto the invaders from below. And now we can begin the long climb. A really long climb up to the other taller tower. You can see nothing's perfect. It's been built around the boulders, around the countryside. That's obviously new. You will be hearing me panting quite a lot. This has been obviously bigger boulders, heavier boulders have been left in place and just build a castle around them. 1,000 years ago wouldn't have looked like this. No vegetation, probably very little trees, probably even different trees. This one exists for instance. Let's just hurry this up or else we'll never... I'll make a 30-minute video instead of a 10-minute one like I wanted. That's just slam. Oh, there's the top of this tower. Cool. Yeah, this one I'm going to show you. This is like a foot wide. So, yeah, you can use the binoculars to look. You know that fantastic road I take you guys along sometimes? That way, over that hill. That's the Cape. The awesome twisty road is the road that leads up here and goes through all these trees. Look, there's the bend over there. Next to that grey palace, that's one of the bends from that awesome twisty road. Very cool. Looking from here, yeah, that doesn't matter really. Let's go up to the big tower there. Oh, by the way, I don't really like heights. I'm sweating like a pig. I wonder where this path goes. Remember, not having vegetation here meant this would be a very good defensive position for not only the outside, but the inside of the castle too. And removing the trees from here meant that no one could climb up here, and the road leading up, which is that road actually, would be, I don't know, is this still in arrow range from this height? And that, well, if not in arrow range, at least in visible range, so you wouldn't get surprised with people at the gates. Hey, look, we're still climbing and climbing. And if the sound's not working, I'm going to be really pissed. Whoa, I'm tired. And I'm in jeans, sneakers and t-shirt. Now you imagine what it would take to climb all this crap with armor, weapons, shields, empty belly, and right after you've spent 2 days climbing all of this, right after you spent a month walking all of this. I reckon some people will just rather throw themselves from here than keep on going. Sorry for the heavy breathing and for the wind. Whoops. That's taller than I expected. This is called the Royal Tower, because we had a king, King Ferdinand II, which liked to park here to gain inspiration for I don't know, poems, paintings, something, music, no idea. I just know the name. Ooh, cool zip lines. One day, I'll show you that one day. You can see that palace for miles around, and this too, miles and miles and miles around. That's new. Go ahead. Sorry. There we go. Now, that's the stables on there. That's the last redoubt, so we're on that big tower I showed you a while back. And again, no vegetation, so you can shoot people from here. See? A proper defensible position. And once again, with no vegetation in the town down there, you can actually see the path coming up. So you're not going to be able to shoot it, I think, but at the very least you can see the soldiers coming up from here. And the distance you can see is just, that's the river, and I can see the other hill, Sintra. Wow, that's some distance. And Galaxy keeps on activating because it's in my pocket, idiot. So yeah, from here on out, I'm not going to go down the same way, but here's an easier approach. Not from the walls, it's an internal path that leads down. Hey, look, Field of Arms, or the plaza, the armed plaza. Yeah, that's the gate. Fortification straight above it. Pretty damn sure that's got murder holes in it. That's the secondary wall. It shows it's a 1,000-year-old castle, because I've been to more modern castles which are like only 700 years old, and this division, this multi-layered defense, is more preeminent. On this one, simply main wall and then a secondary smaller wall, which would probably be with woods, but some of them have a really big wall, then a really big secondary wall. There's a big moat where you have to run around, kind of like from the movie Lord of the Rings, the second one, Minas Tirith, has that two walls with the zigzag in between. That's actually standard, so I've been to some castles which have that. This shows it's an older fortification, and remember, the whole hill itself is part of the defense. Climbing this crap up all the way up here is not easy. So that's ground level. Several little locations, there's a little bench there. Soldiers also need to rest and relax. That's the entrance, that's the huge entrance. Small entrance in castles, unlike what you usually see in movies, are made so that the enemy can't just ride through. That they have to go slowly, one by one or two by two. With a gate that big, 10 men could hold that for ages, because they would get like 4 abreast and then just rotate as they're getting killed or tired. So wife told me there's kind of a gate here, a cave. Let's get the shades out. So what's this? GoPro, you ready? You ready? Oh, that's the pens, where we think were the kennels and stuff like that, and would be covered somewhat like this. So these would probably be kennels and stables and whatnot. What does this say? Old stables. These holes are for grain. This is the way the Moors used to store grains 1,000 years ago. You just put them in the hole and they would be stored. They wouldn't spoil if they were stored underground, somewhat underground. Yeah. They obviously don't let us walk there, so you don't damage this. Why? I wonder what is here. to our vent, the gift shop, for the cistern, so the water doesn't spoil. The cistern is under. The cistern is under here, and I'd really like to find a way down there to show and to see. Haven't seen this. I wanted to see. Oh, cistern that way. We've made a little cafeteria here. Cistern, cistern, cistern. We do know these are for storing of grain, but we're not sure about that, and we just assume for the size of it that's where you would keep your animals, dogs, chicken, etc., as living food supplies. So that's the bathroom. This is obviously cement, not original. Cistern, cistern, cistern. Ooh, it's this way. Let's see if we can see. Take it easy, ingress. So let's read here. Cistern, vaulted reservoir with a storage capacity of nearly 600 cubic meters of water. That's the granite blocks used in the construction show signs of having been reused from a different pre-existing structure. The stonemason marks and the ogival arch of the entrance door, that thing here, indicate that the construction began in the 13th century. There being no record of the water ever drying up, legend has it a Moorish king is buried underneath. Let's try and show you this. Golly, this is dark. There's a, sorry. This is steep. Yeah, this should be able to fill up with water all the way up. And here's the cistern with the usual coins in it. It's really cold in here. It's cold and fresh. That's the vent holes up there. The original one also has this walkway, so you can inspect it. There's the second vent over there. Yeah, that's a smart way to make sure you always have water in the castle. Just dig a really big hole in it, fill it with water, and keep filling it with rainwater, and then you'll always have fresh water in the castle. Pretty smart. Clever, these 13th century people. Yeah. That's the last part I wanted to show you. That's the cistern. It's Sintra's Moorish castle. This has been way longer than I wanted, but I think it is cool from start to finish. Let me know in the comments if you actually watch the whole thing, if you enjoy the whole thing. Comment whatever you want, like if you liked this, subscribe if you want more, and actually if you want more castles, comment. I have way more to choose from, so I can do this for a lot more castles if you guys want. That's it. Cage, you're out.